Hey there, John here. This is a video user's manual for my bus. And the main reason I'm doing this is because I've had a few times when a friend or family member was in the bus and needed to, do something, charge something, turn something on, whatever. Had no idea how to do it because I built this thing myself and I'm the only one that knows how anything works, where the bodies are buried and things like that. So, but I thought maybe somebody else might want to see it too, which is why it's here on YouTube. So if that sounds interesting to you, keep watching. Otherwise, you know what to do. Let's start up here. So every RV, I saw one that was like a $500,000 RV that was not like this for some reason. I have no idea why, but normally there should be two batteries. There's one that's like in your car. It's called the SLI battery, starter lights ignition. And when they say lights, they mean like the headlights, the tail lights, not inside. And so that's this battery. This is the voltage. And voltage is pressure. How hard? Well, it's actually the opposite. Let's not get into electrical theory. But it's actually the electrons are pulled, attracted to the positive side. So anyway, that's the pressure. Is the voltage is the same as the pressure. So you can see this one's at 12.1 volts. It's a little bit low. It's a 12 volt battery. It should be a little bit higher than that. And as you'll see in a minute when I start the engine, the alternator will start charging this and the voltage will go up quite a bit. And this one over here, it's called the house battery. And this is the battery that runs everything in the house, in the living area. The refrigerator is currently running off this, all the lights and like the water pump, things like that. Okay, so that's what that is. Then up here, these are ammeters. So voltage is pressure, amps is the amount. It's analogous to the number of electrons, actually. It is the amount of electricity. So, if you could think of water, voltage is like pounds per square inch, and current would be like water flow, gallons per minute. And so anyway, there are, this is wired for 4 solar panels. I used to have 4 100-watt solars up there, but now I have 3 300 watts. So it's actually more, but it's only 3 of them. So this one over here is not in use at the moment. But these show the amount of electricity, the number of amps coming in from the solar panels. And what's nice about this is I've had a couple of times when the connection went bad and one of the panels kicked out, stopped working. And it's not necessarily obvious that happened, let alone which one it is. So, and not to mention, I also just like watching it. It's kind of cool watching the power come in. Okay, and then this down here, well, let's go over here. So the solar comes in from upstairs on the roof. There's a wire that goes through the ceiling and comes out over here. And each solar panel has its own ammeter here, which I can turn on or off. Let's see. Okay, so then they go from here into this. This is the solar controller. And what this is basically the gatekeeper between the solar and the battery. And as you can see, there's this battery here. PW is solar photovoltaic. And what you can see right now, the battery's completely full. It's just trickle charging it, making sure it stays full. But other than that, there's hardly any load going on right now. And if there was, these would go up. So this is only going to take from the solar what it needs. Okay, so even though the solar panels could be putting out a lot more, if I turned everything on and it needed the power, the amperage would go up as it needed it, but it doesn't need it right now. Okay, so that's why. This over here is it's just connected with this. It's just more information. It's showing 100 watts coming in, whatever. It does different things. It's just more information about what this guy's doing. And that was optional. I got that as an extra, but you don't really need that. This right here Okay, so, well, let's skip this for 1 second now. This over here is a battery monitor, and this one is actually obsolete. This is old. It doesn't even support the kind of battery I have in there right now, and it's actually programmed for my old battery, which is a lead acid battery. The new one's a LiFePO battery, so a completely different kind. And at some point I'm gonna upgrade this because it should be showing me like how much percent the battery's full and all this kind of stuff. Well, it doesn't, because I haven't programmed it to this battery, and it doesn't even support this kind of battery. I mean, I'm not sure what, you know, it probably wouldn't be quite accurate. So someday maybe I'll replace this. There's also an app you can use on your phone to see what the battery stuff is too. So I don't really need this, but it's kind of cool. I like meters, as you notice. Okay, so then this one over here, let's look real quick. So the electricity you have in your house are these, right? The 110 AC. If I was off grid, if I'm off grid, like I'm plugged in right now to regular electricity, if I wasn't, those sockets are all going to be off. And if I'm off grid, right? If I unplug the bus, if I want them to be on, I can push that button, which it's not actually going to do anything right now, because it won't do anything now because I'm plugged in, and there's a auto transfer switch that prevents both of them from being on at the same time. If I turn this on and unplug the bus, then this will be powering those receptacles. Otherwise, not. So you got to either plug the bus in or run the inverter, one or the other, if you want power. So the 12-volt ones are always on, right? The lights are always going to work on grid, off grid. The refrigerator will work on grid, off grid. But those 110-volt receptacles are only going to work if you turn this on or plug in the bus. All right, so let's move over here. This one here is just a regular outlet. It's always like what I just said. Okay, it's off if you're off grid. You want to use it, turn it on. When the bus is plugged in, that's powered. This one here with the switch on it is only energized only when the bus is plugged in. Okay, so if I'm off grid and I turn on the inverter, this guy is not energized, and the reason for that is this is used to charge the battery if I want to from the wall power. You can see it's off right now because I don't need to do that. The solar is more than adequate. So I've got it turned off right now. And I'll show you in the circuit panel in a minute how I did that. But anyway, the point is that one's only on when you're plugged in. And the reason for that is you don't want to, because otherwise if I'm off grid and I'm running the inverter, it's running off the battery, right? So that would be charging the battery off itself, and it's just going to run it down. It's not going to blow up or anything. It's just not going to work. So I wired it such that that's only on when the bus is plugged in to regular power. Okay. I've got that for this guy. This is a dehumidifier. I put it in here because I had trouble during the winter. It would get really moist in here, and I was starting to have rust on my electrical connections and corrosion. And so that was a bad thing. I didn't want that. So that's why that guy's there. Now if you look over here, there's some stuff in here. So let's see what's in there. All right. So you're probably, or maybe not, but when your car, when you run the engine, the alternator charges the battery. Okay, so that's the SLI batteries, you remember, starter lights ignition battery. So when you run your engine, Your ammeter charges your SLI battery in your car, but normally would not be charging my house battery, which is a completely different circuit. Okay, well, I wanted to be able to charge the house battery when I was driving. It's actually less important now because I got more solar, blah blah, etc. But anyway, initially I wanted the charger, the car alternator to be charging my house battery when the engine was running. And so you don't want to just wire them together, because if I did that, both batteries, so like if I was running the lights in the house inside, it could run down the battery, the SLI battery, or vice versa. So you want to be able to charge both batteries, but you don't want them discharging each other, if that makes sense. So you want to go in one way but not back the other. That's what this device does here. It's called an isolator, and it allows you to charge both batteries without discharging them when it goes the other way, if that makes sense. But anyway, that's what that is, that device there. This down here, I gotta relabel these things. This down here is a voltage regulator, and the reason I had to put that in, I had to put this in when I got my new LiFePO battery. They're a different technology, and the alternator was overcharging it, and so I had to put this voltage regulator in there to prevent that. This is just a switch. Okay, so right now it's switched off. I don't need the engine to be charging the house battery. It's completely, totally full right now, and it will continue to be full if I drive it down the road. If it was the middle of winter or something, you might turn this on. Or what happened recently was somebody was here, I wasn't here, and the battery ran down, the power was off, and they needed to charge the house battery by running the engine. So I had to tell him to take this thing, turn this switch on, start the engine, which I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So anyway, normally off, but if you need to charge the battery, the house battery, it always charges the SLA battery. If you want to charge the house battery from the engine, you flip that on. And as I said, normally I leave it off. So, we've just seen 3 different ways to charge the house battery, right? The solar is doing it. That outlet over there, which is right now is off, can also do it. And this down here, if the engine's running, will also do it if it's on, but it's off now. So right now, only the solar. And the solar is like way overkill right now, at the moment, today, this instant in time. There's way more solar coming in than needed to charge the battery. So there's no reason to have that on, and there's no reason to leave this on. But you can tell right here. You can tell how charged the battery is. It's pretty charged. It's a 12-volt battery. It's 13.7. Yeah, okay. So let's take a look over here. So, if you ever forget what these do, you can always just flip them, see what they do, but these are actually correct. So this one is that fan there. Okay. And there are 3 heaters in here. There's 2 of them like under the seat. Well, there's one right here. There's another one under the seat, and then there's one in the back. And I don't normally drive the bus in the winter, but if I do, turn all these on. There's the defroster, cleverly named. Then here, the dome light. This dome light will turn on just like in the dome light in your car, and turn on there's interior lights. And then this one here is for this light up here. in the cab. There's one there. Am I even? Yeah. There's one there. There's one there. And you can turn that on either with this switch here. This switch here. Or this one here. Where is it? Oh, right there. And then this is the dome light that came with the, the bus. There are lights inside. And all this stuff's running off the SLI battery. The SLI battery. And then windshield washer and wiper right and wiper left. For some reason, I don't know why, but every school bus in the world has 2 independent wipers. I don't know why, but they do. I don't know. So that's what that is. Okay, so then this one here, this nuclear dead kill switch, that is the backup lights. And it also will blink if you turn that on. Let's just do it. Oops. The reason I did that was because if you were to ever leave that on and drive down the road, that's an instant ticket. I mean, and they might even make you disconnect. I've heard of that before. Whoops. I've heard of that before. I knew somebody that had a van and something similar. His friend was driving it, didn't know it was on, and they gave him a big ticket, and they made him cut the wire right there at the side of the road, because it also is dangerous. It could cause an accident. Because that is it's a really bright spotlight. There's 2 of them coming out the back at night driving down the road. Anyway, instant ticket. So I wanted to make sure you really have to know you're doing that to do it. This one here is the backup camera. It's not a very good backup camera. I should replace it someday, but that's what that is. And then this one here is the radio. Okay. Now these down here are no longer in use. I had some specialized horns and stuff, but they're not in use at the moment. That's the starter button. You should be able to just turn the key and have it start, but there's something wrong with that switch, and it is a pain in the ass to take this thing all apart. I did it once, and it's a pain in the ass. And so instead of trying to fix it, I just installed this to bypass it. So, let's check that out. I'll show you that in a sec here. What else is on here? Okay, so then the only thing, okay. So this is the oil pressure gauge here does not work. So that's the oil pressure gauge down there. Now this thing over here, very important. You look here on here, you may notice something unusual. There's no park. Okay, no park. So you put it in neutral and you flip that on. That's the emergency brake. Don't ever forget to put that on. Ever. Because if you forget to turn that on, the emergency brake, the bus is just going to roll away. You're going to have 18 tons rolling down the road, causing havoc. And so that is extremely important. If you ever drive this thing and you ever stop, damn sure you put that thing on. Okay? Seriously. Alright, so what else have we got? Let's just fire her up. See the oil pressure up nice and high. Now see, now the engine's running. The alternator is charging the SLI battery. And so you can see it was 12.1 before, now it's at 13.3. It's going to go down because the alternator is running. So it's going to charge it up some, depending on how long I run it for. But right now I'm going to turn it off so you can hear me. Yeah, see, that gave it a little bit of a tune-up. It was 12.1 before. Well, I need to run it for half an hour or so. There appears to be a parasitic load on that battery, which I have not had time to track down. But the battery seems to, and I think that I don't think it's the battery. I think there's something, a short or something that's running somewhere. And it's kind of hard to track that down. Well, I mean, it's not the end of the, what you do to track that down, you start removing, you measure and see that it is leaking, and you start removing fuses till it stops. Then at least you know what circuit's on. It's a tedious process, and I haven't had time to do it, but I run the bus every couple of weeks, and that charges it back up. Okay, let's move inside here. So this is a 12-volt refrigerator. It's an RV fridge, so it runs off the house battery, not like a normal fridge when you plug it into the wall. This one's plugged into the battery. Okay, so in here we got, let's see, the water heater's in here. And that down there is something I really don't use anymore. But that is a drain for the water heater. And I mainly used that before I even moved into the bus because I was worried that it would freeze, and there wasn't really any way to, you can blow the lines out with air or something, but there wasn't a real easy way to drain the water heater, so I just put that in there. Normally closed. Otherwise you'll run the water heater dry. And then this here, let's, so this bus is running on 30 amps, which may mean nothing to you. It means wimpy. A house normally runs on 200 amps. I got 30. So wimpy electricity here. So all of these outlets, these for example, they're all running on the same. Here, let's look at the circuit fuse box here, the circuit box. Okay, so you can see that I've got only 3 circuits. All of the outlets in the bus are on this one. The dishwasher is on one by itself. And this one says water heater, but I'll show you what that is in a second. This is the main breaker. And this circuit box is designed, it'll support either 30 amp or 50 amp. If it was a 50 amp, it would have 2 legs. I've only got one. But what I did with the unused leg was I wired, like I said before, that one outlet that'll only work if you're plugged in. So if you're plugged in, it goes through here, and the battery charger is on its own circuit here, but only if you're plugged in. It's called shore power, regular electric, only if you're plugged into shore power. Okay, so that's how I wired that. Anyway, okay, so, and then these are the 12 volts down here. So you can see lots of 12 volt circuits, but only 3 110 volts, because there's not enough power for more. And what's cool about these, if one of these fuses blows, there'll be a little red LED, so you can pretty easily tell which one it is. Anyway, that's what that is. So that brings us back to over here. The one that said water heater is actually this thing. What I've done here is this water heater, it's broken right now. It's propane and electric. The electric part is broken right now, so, but it's wired for electricity, and someday maybe I'll fix it. Then I've also got a heater down here, an electric heater under there. And that wants to be on its own. So the water, it needs to be on its own circuit, or you're going to be flowing. You can't run you can only run, like, these heavy load things, they got to be on by themselves on the circuit, otherwise you're going to be blowing stuff. So I couldn't run the water heater and the heater at the same time. It's going to blow a circuit. And then I've also got this. Okay, so this is the exception. So there's 2 exceptions. All of these outlets are all on the same one, except for this red one and the one that charges the battery. This red one is, so if I want to use an air conditioner, maybe I want to use another electric heater, who knows, something that's going to use a lot of power and would blow the fuse if I ran it with everything else, I can plug it in there. Usually you use it for an air conditioner, and it's a portable air conditioner. I can run the exhaust through there. But whatever, that's what that one is. And so this over here, this allows me, I can't have all three of these running at the same time. This allows me to have one or the other. That's off. That would be the water heater, if it worked. That's the electric heater. And that's this one. Okay? So this guy only works if this is turned to 3. The heater only works if it's turned to 2. And if the water heater electric worked, it would be heating the water now. And that's off. Okay, clever, huh? So that's a way of using 3 high power circuits shared on one circuit. So that's what that is. Okay, so moving in here. So this valve here is to fill the water tank. Now there's a water tank under the bus. I'll show you that in a minute. It's 40 gallons, I think, something like that. Now you can fill it outside. There's a way to fill it outside using a hose. The easy way is to do this. So I'm filling the tank right now. It's actually empty. I usually leave it empty unless I'm going to use it. So it's filling the tank right now. This is normally off. Don't leave it on. Sometimes what people do, I've heard of the people doing this, they'll fill the tank, I guess, they'll forget and they'll leave it on. And then when they're running off grid and the water pump is running, it just is going in a circle. So it's coming out of the pump, and this is putting water into the tank. So if you leave that on and use the pump, it's pumping the water out of the tank and putting it back in the tank, and you don't have any water pressure. So just use that to fill the tank. It's the easy way to do it. And then when you're done, turn it off and leave it off. Speaking of which, the water pump switch is here. It's off at the moment. But even if I turn it on right now, it's not going to run because it's behind here is where the water comes in. The way it works, the tank goes that way, and the regular water inside goes this way. There's a one-way valve over here, and so if you have if you're plugged in, called city water, if you're plugged into city water, there's pressure here, and so the pump is never going to run. If you unplug from city water and you turn the water on, the pressure is going to lower here. The pump is going to see it and start pumping. So it's kind of cool the way it works. It just works. You don't have to flip anything. You just assuming your tank is full, and if that pump is on, it'll just work. Oh, and here, by the way, these are cool, huh? These are sprinklers. I figured, why not? Might as well put them in here. Could save something someday. They're like $12 each or something like that. So I got them over here too. They're over here. Anyway, they're around. Okay, and now the composting toilet. The way that works, there's this diversion tank here, so you don't piss in it unless you're sitting down. This is a urine diversion tank, and it'll divert the urine down into the gray water tank, and the poop goes down in a bucket down there. There's a fan. See, this exhaust is here. Let's see, turn on some lights here. There's a vent here, runs through here, and right here there's a computer fan in there, which is normally it's supposed to run 24/7. I turned it off while I'm videoing this because it's kind of noisy, but that's what this does here. So that normally should be on all the time. There's another fan upstairs at the other end of this, which is this one. So I can run 2 fans. What I've noticed is whenever one fan is broken, the other one seems to be broken too. So my redundancy hasn't worked too well. The fan ups, this one was broken. I just fixed the other day. If that'll happen, they're just a computer fan, and they eventually wear out. And normally this does not stink at all. It doesn't get insects, but when the fan breaks, the first thing will be, you may notice flies in there are suddenly interested, and then eventually it'll stink. And you'd think you'd notice it. I mean, it's so noisy, you'd think it'd be obvious when it cuts out, but it's not. It's happened a few times. I didn't notice it. Actually, I'll tell you, it was a few years ago. There were 6 people had been in the bus. So me, 2 males, and 3 females. And it was kind of funny because all 3 females, when they came in the bus, they were like, "Ooh, I think your toilets stinks a little bit." And I didn't smell it. Neither did the 2 other guys. Did not smell it. But I checked, and sure enough, the fan was broken. I fixed the fan, and the next time those 3 females were in the bus, they all said, "Oh, wow, cool, you fixed it." So it was kind of funny. They all caught it right away. I didn't, but there were flies in it. So for me, with my horrible smelling ability, I guess that's the first clue. Well, like, apparently I don't smell good or hear good or something, because I should hear the fan. I'm sure you can probably hear it. It's not real loud, but it is definitely noticeable. Okay, so what else do we got? So here's my elevator bed. Now, it works pretty well, but I need to fix it. What's happening with it right now, and I plan on fixing this, so maybe it'll be fixed soon, but because of the weight of this thing, it's not, see, it should be like this, and it sags like that. And this was made out of by the way, this was made out of a stand-up, sit-down desk hardware. And if you were to do something like this, you will need a 3-stage one, which is for tall people, okay? 3-stage. Otherwise, it's not going to lift the bed high enough, or at least not for what I needed it to do. So, but anyway, getting back to that. So, what'll happen is this thing, if it encounters a obstruction or something, it'll just stop and start beeping at you. If I try to lower it all the way down as is, see, it's gonna hit the bottom and beep. And so you can program it. So I plan to fix this, so it may be fixed. If anybody watching this ever has to deal with this, it may have been fixed by then. But in the meantime, what I did was I programmed it so 2 brings it all the way down where it's just barely touching it, and then I push 1, it goes down the rest of the way, because if I just have it go down all the way, it's going to hit, this thing's going to hit first, and it's going to flip out and beep. I mean, you can always do it by hand too. See, you can use these and just move it where you want, but you can program it. And occasionally it will freak out and gives some weird error code, unintelligible. If that ever happens, you can fix it by unplugging it right there. Or, well, yeah. Unplug it for about 10 seconds, plug it back in, use this thing and lower it all the way down, and that usually will fix it. But I'm not sure. You can Google it. I don't have the manual for this. I don't even think they sent me one. I had to Google what to do, and the instructions worked. It's happened twice. Just unplugging it doesn't seem to work. You have to unplug it, plug it back in, lower it all the way down, and I think you're then supposed to push both of them and hold them, or I don't know. That's worked for me. It's just lower it all the way down. Oh, and by the way, if you're never going to touch this, but you're interested in how I was going to fix this, I'm going to put Unistrut trolleys. Google that, Unistrut. This is Unistrut down here, this stuff on the wall. And you can get a trolley that'll fit in that track. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to get some Unistrut trolleys, which will kind of make a track, which I think is going to work to do that. So I'm going to try that. I've got them, I just haven't had time to do it. So if you're building something like this, that would be my suggestion. Or, you know, if you had it such a way, like I can't here, but if I had it so the weight was evenly distributed, that would work, but I can't because of, you know, where everything is here. So that's not going to work for me. So I think the track thing, though, I think is probably going to work. Ideally, I'd want them on both sides, but this panel here is removable, so I'm going to just try it, putting them on that end. All right, let's go outside and see what's out there. This here is a cargo door because I had to move something out of the bus and it wouldn't fit through the front door. So I ended up taking this window out to remove it. I was going to block the window out anyway. So I decided, hey, why don't I put a cargo door there in case I ever need to do that again. And then, oh, this is uni-strut also. See this stuff? This is all uni-strut. What I did for this is I bolted it through the window pillars. And that's where all my solar is up there. And then this one here is actually bolted in through the roof. This is one of my very first welding projects, believe it or not. So the water heater's here. Yeah, let's look at that. So to start the water heater, let me get the tripod. Hold on. Okay, so again, what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this to pilot. I'm going to push it down. Gas is going to be coming in there. I'm going to use the lighter and light it. And if you're not familiar with how a pilot light works, there's a safety feature in there. So you don't want the gas on if it's not burning, because that could eventually explode, and that would be bad. So there's a safety feature. The gas won't run. There's a thing called a thermocouple in there. That'll get hot. When that gets hot enough, it'll open the valve and let the gas keep running when you let go of the pilot button. So usually takes about 10 seconds on this one. Hold the lighter in there, push down the pilot light, right, for about 10 seconds. And you'll hear it, like, it may not light right away. So you gotta wait till it lights. Once it lights, you gotta let it run for about 10 seconds. Turn it all the way on, the water heater will go in, all right? That's what we're gonna do. Turn the pilot, push it in. It still hasn't lit yet. There we go. So I don't know if you can hear it, but I can hear it running. So that's about 10 seconds, right? So now I turn it all the way. Wait a couple of seconds. There you go. If I had not held it long enough, it would not do that. It would just go back off. So like I said, it's a safety feature. Actually, let's look at the other pilots real quick as well. So if you've never used a pilot light before, if you've never had to light a pilot light the first time, it might be a little confusing. Oh, let me mention one more thing about this. Especially if the propane ran out, it may take a little while for that. The very first time you think, this is not working, it's never going to work, everything sucks, it's horrible. Nah, just one thing you can do is like light the burners on the range first and get them going. Make sure the gas is flowing. It'll work. I mean, the very, very first time I did this, it took probably 40 seconds or a minute or something before the gas started. So it'll work. It doesn't work right away, but if it doesn't, just be patient. It'll come. Okay. Gas burners, you just turn them to light. That's it. Just try not to leave that on because you'll be leaking gas into the bus. The range is similar to the water heater. There's a pilot. Turn it to pilot, push it in, okay. And you light it underneath here. Well, can't really see it on camera, but anyway, underneath here, you'd stick your thing under there and light the pilot back there. And again, let it go for 10 seconds or something. And then you'd turn it all the way up to broil, whatever you want. And similarly here, this one, similarly, there's no pilot button, position, but it's off now. When it's off, you push that. That turns on the gas. You light the gas with that thing. This thing here. And so I'm not going to do it. It takes two hands, but you push this in and push this a couple of times till it lights. Now this one, there's something wrong with it. It does work, but it should only take about 10 seconds for the pilot to heat up enough to make it work. Not this guy. It's like 40 seconds. I use it for like 40 seconds. And I mean, if you don't do it long enough, it's just going to go out and you have to do it again. So it's not the end of the world. But when I use this, I count to 40 and that works. Hey, I mentioned this earlier. The auto transfer switch. It's under there. It's under the sink. So probably never have to deal with that, but that's where it is. That makes it so either the inverter is working or the bus plugged in is working, but never both, and it'll favor the plug-in. The shore power, as it's called. Alright, anyway, it's underneath there. Oh my god, this is a long video, isn't it? Okay. Well, anyway, here's where the shore power comes in. Here's where the water comes in. Let's see. Well, this would normally not be connected. I was testing some stuff. I showed earlier how to fill the water tank the easy way. You can also do it from here. You have to leave the hose on really low or it'll start flowing out, backflowing. If you do use the valve I suggested, you'll know it's full because water will start spraying out of here. So normally this would be disconnected, but I was testing the fill. I just replaced this thing. But this is normally, this is the city water hookup. Okay, so plugged in to regular power. That's called shore power. It's called city water. So bus is plugged in. And down here is where the propane connection is. Okay, the propane comes in here, and I didn't know it at the time. See, I got these really little ones because they'll fit in here, because these regular tanks won't fit. But I didn't know it at the time, but they do sell these as horizontal. So these are like the regular portable tank, not the kind built in, but you can get these that go horizontal, and someday I'll get one of those and that'll fit in here. But these little guys, which like 2 of these is equal to 1 of those. So it's not a lot. I usually carry an extra tank or 2 upstairs on the rack upstairs. This doesn't do anything. It used to be something there, but there's nothing there now. The gray water drain is right here. Pull this to drain it. Okay, and I think I'm almost done here. And then underneath here, where the water tank's here. So this is the fresh water tank is under here, or up above there. And then there's a gray water tank and a black water tank, both. And there's no black water in this bus, it's only gray water, so they're both hooked up to each other. Pump is actually right over there. Right there. Water pump. Inverter is underneath here. So you can turn it on by crawling under there if you want to. Or you can use the button I showed you earlier. This is the SLI battery. There's 2 of them because it's a diesel. And then the house battery is under here. In here. There's the backup light on the left. There's the backup camera. There's the other backup light. Whew. Well, I think that's about the longest video I've ever made. Well, what can I say? There was a lot of stuff to cover. If you are actually still watching the video, I commend your bravery. If you are one of the bus people and you have not watched this video and you call me on the phone and ask me how to charge the bus because the battery died, I'm going to tell you to watch the video first. Alright, well, hey, thanks for watching. Hope somebody found it useful. And have a good one.